Okay, good night. So here we have dilemma, the standard form. You have the second. Okay, so you have first the major premise, then you have the minor premise, and then you have the conclusion. So standard format of dilemma, you have the major premise, which is conjunction of two hypothetical. The minor premise will be a disjunctive proposition, and the conclusion can be either just like a single letter, which is just categorical, or it could be disjunctive like the minor premise. So that is essentially what a dilemma is. Next, let's look at the kinds of dilemma. Okay, so there are 4 different kinds of dilemma. First, complex constructive. Complex constructive mein you have P implies Q dot R implies S. So all 4 letters are different in the major premise. Look down this complex destructive. Again, exact same premise will be the major premise in complex constructive and destructive. In complex constructive, the minor premise will be the antecedent of both hypothetical, and conclusion will be the consequent of both hypothetical. Complex destructive mein minor premise will be the negation of the consequent of both, and conclusion will be the negation of the antecedent. Okay, so complex constructive dilemma, complex destructive dilemma. Next, you have simple constructive dilemma and simple destructive dilemma. In simple constructive, the consequent is the same. The consequent of both hypothetical in the major premise is the same. In simple destructive, the antecedent is the same. The antecedent of both hypothetical in the major premise is the same. The minor premise remains exactly as complex constructive in simple constructive, and in simple destructive, the minor premise remains exactly as the complex destructive. What happens in conclusion? Conclusion में you have just the जो भी यहाँ पे same था, just that will be the conclusion. And in simple destructive, जो भी यहाँ पे same था, उसका negation in the conclusion. So these are the standard formats of dilemma. Now the question that might come is, firstly you will be given some like argument, and उसके बाद you have to identify what kind of dilemma is it. Most of the times you will be given just the major premise. So if you see that all 4 propositions are different, then you can make either complex constructive or destructive on your own. I would recommend complex constructive, less mistakes. But if you find that it's something like consequents are same or antecedents are same, then you have to do either complex simple constructive or simple destructive, depending on what the question is, what the major premise given is. Now there are 2 refutations and rebuttal. 2 refutations and 1 rebuttal. In the I've taken complex constructive dilemma as an example. So suppose I have the given, one second. Suppose I have been given this major premise. Okay, and if I have been given this major premise, then I am constructing a complex constructive dilemma. Now the question will be refute and rebut it. So you have to give 2 refutations and 1 rebuttal. First refutation, यहाँ पे जो मेजर premise है उसको हम चेंज कर रहे हैं. तो refutation rebuttal is basically countering, ways of countering a dilemma argument. So in the first refutation, major premise में जो consequent है उसके बाद there will be a question mark. So what you are saying is कि in the first way of countering the dilemma, you will be saying that P doesn't necessarily imply Q. मतलब you are raising a doubt on the consequent, whether it comes from P or no, and you'll be saying that R doesn't necessarily imply S. If either of them you can prove, then you can successfully prove the major premise to be false. That's why it's like committing a fallacy. And the fallacy ka name is taking the dilemma by the horns. And after you put a question mark next to the consequence, you also put next to the conclusion. Entire conclusion ke upar question mark. Okay, so that is refutation number 1. You have to write this entire question mark wala like dilemma and write the name of the fallacy. Next, refutation number 2. यहाँ पे what you do is major premise you leave it as it is. Okay, this is the original dilemma. Okay, now major premise as it is. Minor premise what you do is you just add a third option. So what you're saying is P or Q or T. Matlab there is a third possibility apart from P or R. Sorry. So all you have to do is just one second. All you have to do is just add another possibility, and once again question mark next to the conclusion. So this is refutation number 2, and the name is fallacy of escape. Fallacy of escaping between the horns of a dilemma. Okay, that is refutation number 2. Okay, now you have the rebuttal. This is the last part. Rebuttal mein what you're doing is, this was your original dilemma. Okay, you are providing a counter dilemma. So what you do is you switch this Q और S को आप S और Q करोगे और दोनों में negation ऐड करोगे. तो in the counter dilemma your conclusion will be negation S or negation Q. Minor premise remains as it is, and now since it's complex constructive, so if minor premise is P or R, antecedent will be P and यहाँ पे R, and यहाँ पे जो consequent है will be exactly जो यहाँ पे था. तो P implies not S and यहाँ पे it will be R implies not Q. So what you're saying is, to give a counter dilemma you will be saying that P implies not S and R implies not Q. So if you can say both, then you will be successfully doing a rebuttal. Okay, so then this is all you have to do when you are solving any problems. Now I've taken this example. If a lecturer reads from notes, he is a bore. If he speaks without notes, his lecture is not to the point. Okay, now we are going to see how to solve this particular question. So like I said, you have been given just a major premise. This comes for like 13 marks in the exam. First step is to identify the 3 or 4 propositions. So यहाँ पे we clearly see there are 4 propositions. So first I'll say P will be a lecturer reads from notes, Q will be he is a bore, R is he speaks without notes, and S is his lecture is to the point. Okay, यहाँ पे it's given his lecture is not to the point, but when we are symbolizing propositions we do not include the negation inside it. So it will only be his lecture is to the point. Now it's a major premise, all 4 are different, so I'll create complex constructive. Okay, easiest. So P implies Q dot R implies this is S. Now I'm going to write not S, and minor premise P or R, and conclusion will be Q or not S, जो भी यहाँ पर consequent है second में. Okay, so यहाँ पे बस difference is this not S that happened both places, otherwise it's exactly as the complex constructive we were studying. So first part of the question is, this is your dilemma. Now we have to do refutation and rebuttal. Okay, so refutation number 1, you will be adding question mark next to the consequence. Okay, and question mark next to the conclusion, and you will be writing fallacy of taking the dilemma by the horns. This is refutation number 1. Refutation number 2, यहाँ पे you will keep major premise as it is, just add a third possibility in the minor premise, and once that is done, question mark on the conclusion. This will be called fallacy of escaping between the horns of a dilemma. Now last part, the conclusion, the rebuttal. Rebuttal में you are going to provide a counter dilemma. So वहाँ पे you had यहाँ पे you had Q or not S. So यहाँ पे you will be switching the order and adding a negation. So not S, जहाँ पे not एक और not S आएगा, so negation cancels, so S और यहाँ पे Q था तो it will be not Q. This is called a counter dilemma. That is it. Okay. So for now, if you write just the symbols is fine. But for example, when 13 marks question comes, you have to do one more step. So suppose refutation number 1, ये सब करने के बाद you have to write the major premise. So the way you write it is P doesn't necessarily imply Q or R doesn't necessarily imply S. Refutation 2 में you'll write the minor premise. So either P or R or a third possibility. And rebuttal में you write the major premise. So what you are saying is P implies S and R implies not Q in words. Okay, PQRS. For now it's fine, 2 marks, but 13 marks may just add one more line of the replace the PQRS with actual propositions. That's it. Okay, good night.